Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm Bancroft being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, Nick, and like always, Fluff.
Sir.
What's going on, everyone?
Hey,
What up?
it's me again.
Oh, sorry, Nick. I almost forgot you. My bad.
Oh, everyone else does.
And like
I know.
always,
Nobody remembers who comes in second place. Just saying.
Third. Third.
and like
Yeah,
always,
whatever you say.
God damn it! And like always, there's buttons. Click them. Thank you. All right. So two things. Thing one, today's matchup is Jake playing Mecha Frieza versus Nick playing King Vegeta. I hesitate to say that because, as you can see, unfortunately, there's some technical difficulties when it came to recording this particular video. Don't know why, but you cannot see Nick's leader and you barely see Jake's.
Well, let's just pretend that these are like the spiciest decks on the planet. So Jake is playing like set two Ginyu, and Nick is playing like Doctor Mew.
But it has a field card there.
So Doctor Mew has a field
Planet
card.
M2.
That's just the
M2.
alternate planet M2.
Fair enough.
The foil version's a little different.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
With that being said, take it away.
Well,
Yeah, go
Nick,
ahead.
why don't
Jimmy.
you start since you're playing cards to my battlefield?
Okay. So, King Vegeta is, the best way to describe it, the king of negging. If you really like minusing battle cards, King Vegeta is the deck for you. It starts out playing the new field card, Young Invaders, which the way it works at the start of your opponent's turn, you get to play a guy onto their field. So you have a couple targets. In my build, I'm running the Vegeta and the Goku because I don't have promos because those are hella expensive. So you play the Vegetas. They will crit your opponent's life for you, so you don't really have to swing into them at all. They draw a card for it, so it's kind of a give and take, but you still get their life away, which is huge in certain decks like Mecha Frieza where they need their life for other stuff. And then the way the deck works in my build, it's more of a control variant. It has three major routes you want to go. You can either go up the Vegeta chain that's in the deck. There's a Goku chain. You can go up that. Or in my build, I'm running Gogeta. So I have three major routes I want to go. But Fluff can attest to this because we played a match too. The Vegeta chain is the best out of everything.
Yeah, it's definitely the more solid piece out of the deck. And really, once you can get on that 5-drop and establish, the Go Hanks unison, it's incredibly difficult to break that board state without some piece of just spot removal.
Yeah. So Jake, what were your thoughts when you were playing against it?
My immediate thought was I needed to remove this unison. I knew you were running things like Wolffang Fist, and I was guessing you were probably running Merciless Barrage Yamcha. And both of those cards are decently powerful against my deck. And just this Vegeta, I'm reading it now because I know it's coming. I'm just making sure you can't evolve like from my board or something. But really my main goal was to just keep you off of this unison and just try and spend a couple turns figuring out the way your deck worked and hopefully be able to mount some kind of assault. So here I just wanted to use what gifts you are giving me here to add a marker to my Vegeta.
Enough. You would be wrong because I don't run either of those cards because I'm a big broke boy. I am a big broke boy and don't have it. But
My Wolffang.
honestly, you don't really need them. They're not too necessary for the deck to run. Because the way once you have your Vegeta out, that's pretty much an inherent counterplay in and of itself. Because I'll explain the way the 5-drop Vegeta works is when the card's in rest mode, when your opponent plays a card or attacks with a card, you can choose the card and give it minus 10,000 power. So the second you play something, your opponent plays something, it's going to get negged. If they attack with it, it's going to get negged again. So if they play anything 20k or less, the attack won't even go through. And then with the leader, it has on the Awaken side an auto. Whenever one of your opponent's cards is negged, you can choose a battle card, neg an additional 10. So big boys, I don't really care about because just in my own little package, I don't have to worry about cards at all. So the first few turns are kind of important. You really use your energy pretty quickly because you want to get either Vegeta chain or Goku chain going. So you spend your energy pretty regularly in the early turns, but then once you get to like turn 4 or 5, you have a lot more flexibility with what you want to do. But those first few turns are really important. And the good thing about the young invaders playing on your opponent's side of the field, the Vegeta is a 1-cost 5k combo, so your opponent's generally not going to remove that card on their own. And the Goku, when that's played, it gets played in rest mode, so they can't even do anything with the card. So you have a little protection for your cards, and even if you don't see them on your opponent's side of the field, the Young Invaders field card is you can take one of your own life and play one with their skills negated. So as long as you have the chain, the 3 drops or the 5 drops in hand, you will always have a way to start your chain.
That seems really consistent. And the playing battle cards to your opponent's board has always been a really difficult strategy for your opponent to counter. It reminds me of things like the Android 21 mill deck that just fills your opponent's board up with clone tokens, makes it so they can't attack, and then kills you for having clone tokens on the board.
And one of the good things about the deck too is since you're playing, you're going to be shuffling your deck constantly. So you're always almost going to know specifically what's in your deck pretty much every turn because you're going to be trying to give them a guy as much as you can. The Raditz promos are really good because you can have them crit another life along with the Vegeta. But unfortunately, they're like $80 right now, so we don't play those. But you can see he's getting rid of my unison, which I mean, in his mindset, if he thought I had the negates and stuff, is the right thing to do. But it was just a lightning rod for me, which I appreciated.
And I went ahead and played the Bardock because I know, like past turn 3, it's going to be difficult for it to be relevant at all. So I wanted to get some kind of use out of it, and it was just a pretty efficient way to spend my energy since I still had my Awaken.
Mm-hmm. So here I am with my leader swing. On the unawakened side, you can search the top 5 for a mono red Saiyan card with an energy cost of 5 or less. So essentially, you can find any piece you need. And the way I started off with the 3 drop, so you take the guy either on your opponent's side or your side, put it at the bottom of your deck, play the card from the hand. That Vegeta is a crit, and he will also search the top five for a mono red Saiyan. So you have hella consistency. You have a lot of ways to search the pieces you need. And then my awaken condition for the leader is if you have 4 life or your opponent has 4 life, you can untap 1, draw 1, flip the card over, which is huge because you don't even have to swing at your opponent the first couple of turns, and they're going to get to 4 life very easily. So your turn 3 is really strong. As you can see, I've already gotten my 5 drop out, which was huge because I essentially got it out as efficient as I could, even though I didn't have the right cards in hand.
Yeah, and you didn't... I'm sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
I was just going to say, alternate awaken conditions are always very strong. Especially when you have the, you can do it traditionally by 4 or less life awaken, while also having another option is always strong because your opponent can force you to play bad if they know you're trying to push to awaken. And also we got confused here. I wanted to read the Vegeta and he just handed the one for the energy and we got confused on which one was which. But like the King Vegeta leader is just so strong in every aspect. Like it's just a fantastic leader. It really sucks that a lot of the best cards for the archetype are stuck inside of promos.
Yeah, and Fluff and I went a little on about this. I mean, the Vegeta is amazing, the switching gears, but I can play the deck without it. Seeing that extra draw is great, but you do have tons of search power, you do have tons of draw power. When you evolve on your 5 drops, either Goku or Vegeta, those will draw you a card. The Gogeta package will draw you 2 cards. And the Raditz Super Combo that I play will draw you 2 cards as well. So you have a lot of filtering power with the deck. So it's not 100% necessary, but it's good for the free play.
The biggest problem that I had is that any deck that has any form of spot removal interrupts your chain and puts you off of being able to board your 5 drops until turn 4, and that's assuming that they don't have a counterplay ready to stop the 4 or the 3-drop as it's coming in. The switching gears gives you the ability to re-enter your chain without spending energy. So if your opponent solves the 3-drop that's on the field, on turn 3, you can still go into switching gears and then still board your 5-drop Vegeta, which I think is what is like the problem that I had with the deck playing over the weekend, is that, you know, I would have liked to have got into the 5-drop more than I actually did, but in a lot of the matches, especially the one with you, I lost the 3-drop and could never recover back into the 5-drop after that.
That 5-drop, when it's in rest mode, it's hella impressive. But one of the big things that I run in the deck is Strategies Universe 7. Giving your card barrier is huge. Not a lot of stuff these days can get around barrier. A lot of them are archetype restricted, or you have to spend a lot of resources to do removing barrier. So giving a 3-drop 19k barrier is huge. And even with the Goku chain too, because the way that works, it works as a blocker. So you can protect your stuff pretty well once you have them on board. But Strats is huge for this deck, and I absolutely love it.
So here I'm just dumping everything I can into protecting the Unison. Like you guys saw, my blocker token died as soon as it came in because of the Vegeta. And I elected to spend energy on that instead of using my leader effect because I'm unsure of how the rest of Nick's turn is going to play out. And I was kind of afraid he was going to push for a kill there.
Which I very well could have. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this deck and how I want to play things. Because the Vegeta itself is a 25k double strike, so that's nothing to really scoff at. And when you're playing decks like Mecha Frieza, where combo power isn't their strong suit, it really probably would have been better to play more aggressively. But I decided to let the game play out a little bit longer, so I think that was one of the things that really hurt me at the end of the day.
So I had a quick question. Unless I missed it, did you not give him a card last turn?
There was one turn where he forgot to.
Okay.
It's really easy to forget. But the Vegeta does have unique, and at later points in the game, it starts to become a little less useful. Because me and you played a friendly game. In some instances, you're able to remove the Vegeta without using any of your resources at all.
Yeah.
So once you get your opponent down to 4 life, they start to become a little less useful. But the Vegeta is good because the way that card works when it's on board too is whenever you attack one of their cards when the Vegeta's on board, the card has to be chosen and it loses 5,000 power for the battle. So if you can hit with a pretty standard crit swing with the Vegeta, you can hit something or anything. You can hit a Unison, you can hit a big body something. And
this was just huge for you.
Yeah.
So this card will neg my Unison down to a place where it's not really that threatening. And you guys saw earlier in the turn, I spent a lot of resources tapping down Nick's energy so that I could play around that Frieza Death's Embrace, which if you guys watched our recent top 10 video, you know that's one of the better 1-drops in the game. It really forces your opponent to play differently. And had that not been on the board, I probably wouldn't have used my Bergamo there. But just because that card is on the table, I feel like I'm on a clock because my combo power is so low. Nick can just use all of his open red energy, which would be a lot at this stage of the game, to reduce my leader's power so far negative, because leaders can have negative power that I won't be able to combo out of even the smallest of swings.
Yeah, and funny enough, the card actually underperformed most of the night for me, just because it's so squishy. 1-drops with, I think it's a 5,000 power. It can get hit by a lot of stuff. It gets set into rest mode. It can get negged. It can get counterplayed. A lot of stuff happens to it. So I don't know if I'm only running it at a 2 of. It's a good one cost, draw 1 card, but at the end of the day, it's good for the later portions of the game, like you said, because you can neg out on your kill turn. But it's kind of hard to justify keeping in the deck just because it's a pretty telegraphed play.
It might be a little bit OD in King Vegeta as well, where you already have so many free minus 10,000s that paying an energy for one might just be too much for that list in particular.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just I saw the videos and I thought I'd listen to my friends, and turns out I was wrong. So, moral of the story is don't listen to your friends' top 10 lists because they're not even going to put the best part.
We know how to play around it. Come on, man.
They don't even put the best one drops in the game on the list anyway. So,
In your opinion,
dude, I'm
what is
sorry.
that?
I'm sorry we didn't put dependable Mom Bulma in the honorable mentions. We forgot. Okay, just let's live.
you put all your time into playing this card game. No one values your opinion. That's what you get for being third, I guess. But anyway, I have my Goku established on board now. The way that card works, it's a dual attacker, 25k. It can attack cards in active mode, which is a huge piece to the card. And it has an auto once per turn. Whenever you KO a battle card 2 cost or higher, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent. So it's a really good, essentially, board clearing piece. I think I do swing into the Bojack, which is one of the big pieces, because having him get rid of that Aegis is big, because I don't like his energy being up, and I didn't have to use any type of barrier removal. I can use one of my own battle cards for it. And Jake is happy.
Yeah, I haven't. Every game I've won with Mecha, I haven't seen it, but in games where I get a lot of value out of it like that, it's hard to lose afterward.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big boy.
Yeah, and I haven't won every game. I've boarded it either. Sometimes it just immediately gets removed and does nothing after it has its defensive value.
So I was explaining that both my cards have barrier now with strats. So if he has any type of removal, which it's not likely for Mecha, but there are some cards that do it, he would have to ignore barrier.
Actually, that was huge for you because your Goku and Vegeta don't have barrier natively, right?
No, they do not.
So, if memory serves, I might have had the new 3-drop Trunks unison in play or in hand, and if I was able to play that, I could -3 and remove the whole board.
Well, and how much life were you at that point?
I think 2 right here.
You would have lost the game then, because both of them, when they're removed, deals 1 damage.
Ooh, I thought just the Vegeta. Okay, so yeah, that would have killed me.
So, I mean, granted, maybe I shouldn't have given the barrier, but I wanted them to stick. I want at least the Vegeta to stick, just because it's so oppressive. It really puts a damper on your turn, because most decks don't really play 25Ks or higher now. It's a lot of more low to the ground stuff. And even if you do play high stuff, you're going to be negating 20K. So most of the stuff is not really a problem for me. Unisons are a different story, though, because I can't really interact with those.
Which is why I think I was actually very worried about this matchup going into it. And playing the game out, realizing that you can't interact with unisons as much really made me, even though I charged 2 of them, made me value unisons really highly and want to pressure you with them in that way.
Yeah. Now, if I had another imposing presence in hand, that would have changed the story. Because those do really hurt unison swings. But I didn't. My hand was getting pretty low at this point. I kept seeing the 5-drop Gogetas for fusion, and I had the targets in hand, but I never saw the 6-drop. That would have been another big detrimental piece for you, just because that could pick any card, so that could pick a unison in my
and earlier in the game, it was a huge stop sign for me when I was pushing for damage.
Yeah. Overall, I think the game went great. I mean, I liked everyone likes to win, but I feel like we played exactly how each deck was supposed to play. Jake just tapped me out at the right time, and I wasn't able to defend myself.
Yeah, I was commenting to some friends of ours after the game that going into the next round after this, I was completely mentally drained, having to play around that Vegeta and King Vegeta interaction on every swing, every turn.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of just because you do minus so much stuff. And so consistently, like you're always able to neg something on the board. So
Yeah, you're gonna get your value.
Yeah, I think in our practice match, I played my famous Lord Slug combo, which plays like 2 battle cards, and I was like, yeah, and then you're like, they're all gone. I'm like, no. Well, that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Remember, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. Jimmy, last words. Sorry, Jake, last words.
What the fuck?
If you want to win, you have to practice. And if you practice, maybe you get to do your outro before Jimmy, too.
Nick?
I also like being ahead of Jimmy. That's a fun thing. King Vegeta is fun. Pretty budget, not too expensive except the promos, but I'll probably play it some more. It's a lot of fun.
Jimmy?
I mean, if you're just going to disrespect the champion like that, it's fine. I'll remember that.
Fluff, lead us out.
Jimmy, since you're a know-it-all, you should also know when to shut the fuck up. Also, seeing you as champion has made me realize that you will never be half of the man that your mother is. Read your cards, know your plays. Let us make mistakes so you don't have to. And as always, fluff out.